Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I'll finish my recap of Week 13, all the games from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and will include also the Spurs set a attendance record. Also, the Utah Jazz and Delta are back partners again, and so much more, as well as preview Week 14, including those MLK Day games. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, so we did Monday through Thursday for the Week 13 recap. Let us finish off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'll talk about a little bit about MLK Day in the NBA, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about Friday. Friday, the San Antonio Spurs, they actually set an attendance record with 68,323 fans piling into the Alamo Dome. Remember, they used to play in the Alamo Dome back in the day there, but they end up back in the building, and it's filled to the brim. I mean, really. But of course, it's in a loss to actually the Golden State Warriors, 144-113. And in that game, actually, Jordan Poole leads them in scoring, 25 points with 6 assists. And that actually leads 8 players in double figures, including Steph Curry with 15 and Klay Thompson with 16. So they set the record, but they get the loss in the process. The New York Knicks, they take care of business in Washington as they beat the Wizards 112-108. Despite Kyle Kuzma going off for 40 points, along with 7 rebounds, 7 assists. So, Knicks go on the road, get the road win. Jaylen Brunson, I tell you, man, he's having a fantastic week. 34 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. And Julius Randle, 23 points for him with 16 rebounds in the game. Kristaps Porzingis leads Washington with, well, he doesn't lead, but he supports Kuzma with his 21 points and 4 rebounds. And actually in a Q&A with NBA.com, they actually talked to Kristaps Porzingis. I asked him a number of questions. Of course, one of the questions they had to ask about his time with the Knicks and his departure from the Knicks. So he said, said glowing things about the Garden, the fan base. He loved playing here, everything. But he did express remorse on how things ended in New York. So I point only to one person, and that's his agent of a brother there. His brother, who was the agent at the time, filled his head with a bunch of nonsense and pretty much got that man rode out of town, out of New York. So he also talked about his time in Dallas, how that was, he enjoyed himself there, but him and Luka wasn't a good fit. That's what he said. So a lot of reflection from Porzingis, that's for sure, especially about his time in New York with the Knicks. So, all right, so let's move on to talk about more games. Jonas Valanciunas puts up 33 points and 16 rebounds as the Pelicans beat Detroit 116-110. So Valanciunas doing his thing in the middle for the Pelicans. And you notice he's been able to go off like this with no Zion there, but someone has to step up in the stead. So, and you still have no Brandon Ingram, so you definitely need points desperately, and he's able to help there. CJ McCollum, 19 points for him, 9 assists and 4 rebounds to support Valanciunas there. And then in the loss for Detroit, Bogdanovich, 22 points in the game. A John Collins tip-in right at the buzzer puts Atlanta over Indiana on the road, 113-111. So he didn't have a fantastic game there. Actually, he scored 7 points on 2 of 9 shooting. One was a 3-pointer. The second one was this tip-in that preserved the win. And he had 8 rebounds, too. So, leading Atlanta, Trae Young, 26 points, 11 assists for him. Onyeka Okongwu, man, I tell you what, he's been filling in admirably for Clint Capella. 18 points in this one, 20 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 2 steals. I mean, wow. You want to talk about putting up numbers, man. And they did just that. And leading the way for Indiana, 26 points and 5 rebounds for the rookie, Ben Mathurin. So this was a game, guys. Atlanta was down. Actually, they were down by 7 after 3 quarters. So they had to fight and claw and get this win, guys. So kudos to them. Josh Giddey, he's heating up right about now. 25 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks as OKC gets another impressive road win. This time against Chicago, 124-110. So, look out, man. OKC is trying to finish this road trip on a high note. So, already beat Philly, now they beat Chicago here. And lead the way for Chicago. There was no DeMar DeRozan, by the way. He was out with a quad injury. So, Zach LaVine had to throw on the cape. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists for him. In a rare Nikola Jokic missed game, Denver actually got their 5th straight win. The Joker missed the game because of risk management, basically. Want to manage his risks so that, not to overexert himself. But the team gets the 5th straight win as they get a road win over the Clippers. Remember last week, the whole to-do with them and the Clippers. And that was on a Friday. Actually, no, that was on a Thursday. But, yeah, so they get the road win over the Clippers here. Also in that game, Jamal Murray, 24 points, with 8 rebounds. Michael Porter Jr. with 22 in the game. And, again, Clippers was without Paul George. The hamstring, he's still nursing that. So, Kawhi, 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists for him. Domantas Sabonis, he gets a triple-double here. 19 points, 16 assists, 15 rebounds, adding 2 blocks and 2 steals, by the way, as the Sacramento Kings beat up on Houston 139-114. So, also in this game, Harrison Barnes, 27 points, and he had 7 rebounds. De'Aaron Fox, 24 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. for the Kings. And in the loss, Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, 27 points apiece for them. And then towards the end of the game, there was this altercation that took place. It was between Garrison Matthews and Malik Monk. It was a whole to-do. I'll talk about it in a few minutes, actually. So Sacramento gets the win. Saturday, we'll talk about Saturday. 7 games played. We'll talk about a few of them. So the Utah Arena is now going to be renamed the Delta Center in July of this year. So don't know if you remember, but previously Delta and Utah, they actually named it the Delta Center back in 1991. The current owner now, Ryan Smith, along with CEO Ed Bastian, has put their heads together, and they're now going to put Delta Center back on the arena. So that's a bit of good news there. It was right now it's the Vivint Arena. So now they're going to change that name. And then remember too, guys, Salt Lake City is one of the Delta hub cities. So right. In fact, they have about close to 5,000 workers that live in the Salt Lake area because of, working at Delta. So something to bear in mind. But so they're back in relationship. So they're together in this regard. So with that said, let's talk about some games. Miami gets their second straight win over Milwaukee, 111-95. Again, the story is, guys, Gabe Vincent, this undrafted guy, 27 points, along with that 5 3-pointers and 5 steals in this game. So in back-to-back games, he's carrying the load for these Miami Heat. And they get to win. In a game where Ja Morant has this monstrous dunk over Jalen Smith, Memphis blows out Indiana on the road, by the way, 130-112. So Ja Morant, just such an exciting player, such a very good player. In the game, 23 points for him and 10 assists. Desmond Bane, who's really starting to come alive, 25 points and 8 rebounds for him. So look out, Memphis is starting to make moves. In the second game without Jaylen Brown, Boston just rolls over Charlotte on the road, 122-106. Jason Tatum, of course, 33 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Malcolm Brogdon, coming off that bench, 30 points for him. So like I said, they're going to need contributions from somewhere, and Brogdon delivers. And in the loss for Charlotte, LaMelo Ball, 31 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds in the game for him. And actually it's funny because Charlotte actually led this game at halftime, 66-62. But of course, Boston, not laying down on the job, takes care of business in the second half. Jordan Clarkson, I talked about him earlier, guys. He explodes for 38 points, along with 9 rebounds, 5 assists. But Utah loses at home to Philly, right when they made the announcement about changing the name. They take this loss at home to Philly, 118-117. And actually, this game was won on a Joel Embiid jumper with about 5.7 seconds left in the game for him. So, and with that said, overall, Joel Embiid, he had 30 points, 7 rebounds and 2 blocks. James Harden, 31 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds in the game. In this game, actually for Utah, there was no Lauri Markkanen. He's out with a hip injury, so he sat out in this one. But Utah gave him a heck of a game. They did that, so. But Boston wins. I mean, not Boston. Philly wins. Toronto ends a 5-game losing streak as they beat Dallas 136-119. No, not Portland. This is Portland, not Toronto. Portland ends a 5-game lose streak as they beat Dallas 136-119. And that's thanks in part to Dame Lillard, 36 points, 5 assists. No, 10 assists and 5 rebounds in the game for Dame Lillard. And in this game for Portland, they actually hold Luka Doncic to a season low 15 points, but he did have 10 assists and 6 rebounds in the game. Spencer Dinwiddie, 25 points and 4 assists for him. So with that said, let's move to Sunday. Sunday's games, there was 8 of them, guys. So some news first. I talked about the scuffle that took place at the end of that Friday game between Sacramento and Houston. So looks like Jalen Green and Jayshawn Tate are going to be suspended 1 game for leaving the bench during the Garrison Matthews and Malik Monk scuffle that occurred in the game. So, and then also fines handed out for both players here, along with Terry Eason. All of them fined by the league. So that's the aftermath of that. With that said, let's talk about games. Julius Randle with a monster game, 42 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, as that helps the Knicks get a road win at Detroit, 117-104. Jalen Brunson still having a fantastic week, guys. 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists for him. And for Detroit, both Sadiq Bey and Jaden Ivey both have 21 apiece. So, Nikola Vucevic, he matches his career high with 43 points, along with 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, as Chicago snaps a 11-game losing streak versus the Golden State Warriors, 132-118. So that's quite a bit of years there. You start counting back. So, yeah, but Chicago gets the win versus Golden State. Also in that game, you have Zach LaVine, 27 points for him, 9 rebounds, 7 assists to join in with Vucevic. And for Golden State, Klay Thompson, 26 points, and among those 8 threes, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and then Steph Curry, 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. OKC wins their 3rd straight on the road as they take care of Brooklyn, a game that I actually watched, 112-102. In this game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 28 points, 7 rebounds. He kind of started off slow, but down the stretch he came through. And then Josh Giddey, who missed the triple-double here. 28 points for him, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds in the game. Leading the way for the Brooklyn Nets, Seth Curry. Just talked about his brother, Seth Curry, with 23 points for him. They held down Kyrie. He only had 15. He did that on 7 of 20 shooting, 1 of 7 from the field. Along with that, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. So Brooklyn Nets, in a bit of trouble here. They're going to have to figure some things out. They know that Kyrie is the primary scorer, so they're going to zero in on him, guys, and game plan against him and dare somebody else to beat them. Which is why I come back around to Ben Simmons. Oh, who, by the way, did not play in this game. He missed this game. So, something's going to have to come to a head for Brooklyn, because you're going to need something without KD in there. Nikola Jokic, his game-winning 3-pointer gives Denver the victory over the Orlando Magic, 119 to 116. So he sinks it for the Denver, and Denver's on a roll, guys. They're really on a roll. Aaron Gordon, I've mentioned him probably a few times, but he has really fit in with these Denver Nuggets. 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He's had a very good season. On the low, of course. The Joker, another triple-double. What else is new? 17 points, 14 assists, 10 rebounds, along with 2 blocks. Add that in. Dame Lillard, 40 points and 6 rebounds. That outing helped push Portland over the Luka-less Dallas Mavericks, 140 to 123. So Luka's out. He was, you know him. He has the ankle issues, so he's out in this one. For Dallas, Spencer Dinwiddie, 28 points, 9 assists. Christian Wood, 23 points, 16 rebounds. And then the young man Hardy, Jaylen Hardy for the Mavericks, 25 points. So maybe they stumbled on something here with Luka sitting. We'll see what happens. And then the last game, LeBron James, he actually becomes the second player ever with 38,000 points scored. But the Lakers lose a close one, 113 to 112, and they lose that to Philadelphia at home. So tough one there for the Lakers to lose. LeBron in this game, 35 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. So again, he misses a triple-double by a couple of rebounds. And leading the way for Philly, Joel Embiid, 35 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. James Harden with 24 points, 13 assists, 7 rebounds. And his former teammate, Russell Westbrook, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. So he gets the triple-double from the bench. So, all right, guys. So that is it for all the games. So, but we have a big MLK Day scheduled, 9 games to be played. So, busy slate there. They'll start the day with Boston taking on the Charlotte Hornets at 1. And that'll be on NBA TV. Then you got Indiana taking on Milwaukee at 2:30. Then you got about 3 o'clock games, including the Knicks in Toronto. Well, Toronto coming to Madison Square Garden to take the Knicks take on the Knicks. The Pelicans going to Cleveland to face the Cavaliers. And Golden State heading to Washington to face the Wizards. So then you have Miami taking on Atlanta at 3:30. That one's on TNT. Followed by Utah and Minnesota, and that's at 4 o'clock. And then the second of the doubleheader for TNT, Phoenix heading to Memphis to face the Grizzlies, which look good on paper if you didn't have Devin Booker and CP3 out. So this could be a drubbing here. And then Houston goes to LA to face the Lakers that evening, 10:30, and that will be shown on NBA TV. So that is your Monday slate of games, guys. Got interesting games throughout the week, nonetheless. You have I'll be interested to see that Brooklyn game where they go to San Antonio. I'll be interested to see what goes on there. That's a game that you would think Brooklyn can manage to win, but again, these wins aren't coming easy. And then you got Portland, Denver, so you got a division battle there, and Philly at the Clippers. So the Milwaukee, Toronto will be on TNT. The Philly Clippers also on TNT. So then we move to Wednesday. You got 9 games on the tap there. Games of interest: Miami going to New Orleans to face the Pelicans. That should be an interesting game. OKC, can they remain hot? I'll be curious to see that. Cleveland and Memphis, that should be a good one there, guys. That should be a good one. ESPN has 2 games. Atlanta facing Dallas, and then in nightcap, Minnesota going to Denver, which again looked good on paper if you had Karl Anthony Towns in there. The intriguing game, the Clippers going to Utah. That should be of interest, that's for sure. Not sure if you'll have Paul George back. Lauri Markkanen's been banged up with the hip, so we'll see. And then the last game of the night, Sacramento taking on LA, which now that's been an interesting sort of matchup there with the way King's been playing. Then you move to Thursday, only 5 games on the slate. Brooklyn at Phoenix, which is the nightcap of the TNT game, so I'm sure the guys will have plenty to say, especially if Ben Simmons doesn't show up offensively. And the previous game on TNT will be Golden State facing Boston, so that will be a rematch of the NBA Finals there. So Golden State at full roster. Not sure if you'll have Jaylen Brown back in this one. We'll see. And then only other game of interest, probably the Philly game at Portland. That could be a nice one there. Then you move to Friday. Friday you got 9 games, including the Knicks going to Atlanta, which I'm sure they'll be warmly welcomed down there. Not. So that should be something. Golden State going to Cleveland. That's an interesting game there, guys. One that bears watching. ESPN has Miami going to Dallas. So we'll see what goes on there. And their nightcap is Memphis going to LA. So Brooklyn and Utah should, again, none of these Brooklyn games are gimmies anymore. So Utah's a team that's been tough all season long, so that's not going to be a walk in the park, guys. And then from there, not really much of interest otherwise. Then you move to the Saturday slate. You have 7 games there. Boston and Toronto. Toronto seems like it's starting to pick up steam, so that could be interesting. Milwaukee facing Cleveland, division rivals there. That should be a good one. Outside of that, the late game, Philly going to Sacramento. What used to be just a walk in the park is no longer that with the way Sacramento's playing. So those are games of interest. That's for Saturday. And then Sunday, you have 7 games on tap. Knicks going back to Toronto. That should be something. They already faced them on MLK Day, so they end the week back out there. So that should be good. Pelicans at Miami. That game has some intrigue to it. Brooklyn going to Golden State. When they drew it up, it was Kevin Durant going back to Golden State, but with no Kevin Durant there, definitely Brooklyn's going to have their hands full. LA taking on Portland, a division rivalry there, so they're going to lock horns. The way OKC is playing, going to Denver, that's not going to be a walk in the park for Denver. And then Memphis taking on Phoenix. We'll see what happens there. Oh, and also Clippers at Dallas should be a goodie. So, all right, guys. So, an interesting bank of games this week. So, we'll recap it. Week 14. We'll talk about it all as always. So, once again, guys, I thank you for listening. I very much appreciate you tuning in to this show. And, I got to give it to you. And I got to give it to you plain, simple, and the way I give it. So, all right, on that note, we'll close it out. All right, guys. Once again, thank you for listening. Appreciate it, and we'll talk soon. Take care. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www.allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So, once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. And take care and be safe.